Hi guys, it's Pete Gallagher back again with another review for you. Today I am reviewing Now You See Me Too, which has been at cinemas for a little bit, but I've only just got a chance to see it now, so I'm giving you my review for it. So obviously this is a sequel to the original Now You See Me that came out a few years ago, that was a surprise hit at the box office, and it was actually a surprisingly entertaining movie. I saw the trailers and wasn't really sure what it was going to be, whether it was going to be any good or not. I went into the film and was pleasantly surprised that the original one was like a fun kind of twist on a high slash crime caper movie. The twist being that it's these four magicians called the Four Horsemen that basically decide to go around and sort of expose people with lots of money. They're sort of like Robin Hoods, robbing from the rich corporate billionaires who defrauded people through not so, you know, good means to give back to people. So, the police are after them, the authorities are after them, but the people, the real people, normal people, love them, and then they sort of stage these different heists and robberies and things using magic tricks and things like that. So that's the general gist of the first one, and it's the general gist of this one as well. I can't really go into any plot specific details of this one simply because if you haven't seen that first one, this one will ruin most of that first one if I say anything about it at all. So if you've seen the first one, you'll sort of be aware and be up to speed. But if you haven't, it is kind of essential that you go back and watch it because you will not really understand a lot of what happens. And if you watch it after the fact, some of the good reveals will be spoilt for you. So it's very much a sequel that sort of assumes you watched the first one. And given that this was greenlit after the first one did so well, it wasn't like they planned a trilogy of this or anything. It was just a standalone movie that happened to be better than they thought, so then they ordered a new one. I was really, really impressed with how this one actually linked into the first one and felt like a decent continuation, carrying on some of the themes. Again, I can't say what they are, but it does carry on some of the storylines and story points from the first one and then elaborates on them a little bit more. Uh, all the cast are back again, which is, I didn't go into the cast original, it's Jesse Eisenberg, and you've also got Woody Harrelson's in there, and you've got Mark Ruffalo, who's really, really good in the movie, and then you've got Morgan Freeman back as well, and also added to the cast now is Daniel Radcliffe. So, again, trying to be spoiler-free as I can, but basic premise is the Four Horsemen come back to expose against a person who's fraudulent in the media, but then they sort of get the tables turned on them. The whole thing goes south. They end up trying to get out of there, end up accidentally in China, and don't realise how they've got there. They jump off a roof in New York and they end up in China. So they've been teleported somewhere else. Someone somewhere has a vendetta against them, and these people are trying to manipulate them to do something to sort of get them back from what things that happened in the first movie. So that's a very poor explanation of the movie, to be honest, but I can't really say anything without giving away plot spoilers for the first one, as I said. So, it's a light-hearted, fun, turn-your-brain-off movie. Again, the same deal with the first one. Uh, it's got good chemistry between the leads. I think particularly Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson's always good. He's always got charisma in his roles, and he is really, really good. Mark Ruffalo's awesome as well. Again, he's always watchable. Nothing amazingly groundbreaking for him, but he's fun to see. I think this movie is these are kind of like the newer versions of the Ocean's 11 movies that came out a few years ago, which were also sort of crime capers. And they weren't like amazing movies, but they were enjoyable movies and had a rich cast of decent people that all sort of worked well together, had good chemistry. They weren't like the most memorable of films, but they were entertaining for when you watched them. And I think this is to me like the new version of sort of the Ocean's 11 movies. Uh, it's a completely unnecessary sequel, like it didn't need to be made, but it is fun for what it is. The chemistry between the leads is good, and I actually really care about these characters. Like you enjoy seeing them kind of do these shows and kind of expose these rich billionaires and people who profited off people in unsavoury ways. It's really cathartic, and it's cool to see the magic. The magic is obviously a gimmick, but it's interesting to see the different show-stopping things that they do. The one at the end that comes towards the end of the movie, again, no spoilers, but it's particularly impressive. And it is also a good movie for sort of having odd twists and turns that you don't quite see coming here and there, and changes things a little that way. Uh, Bad points of the movie are, well, it's not Shakespeare. The movie's not perfect script or anything. It's fine for what it is. Um, it makes more sense than the first one, I'd say, but I would say the direction was a little more flat. I didn't really get a good read on the director here. It was John M. Chu, who's kind of a vanilla director, really. He directed G.I. Joe, the second G.I. Joe Retaliation, which I actually personally loved. It was a terrible movie, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And some of the direction that was okay. This here, it just felt kind of flat. I think the direction on Louis Leterrier in the first one stood out a little bit more. There were some better camera angles. Although I will give this one more points for not including pointless CGI as much. The first one did have a little of that, where it's like you see like a cloth or something being chucked away, and it's clearly a CGI cloth, and you just think, why was that a CGI cloth and not a real one? But anyway, the second one doesn't have as much of that in it. And I think the second one's a little more coherent as well. But it's largely the same kind of thing. If you love the first one, you like this one. And again, just like the first one, it's fun and entertaining, but don't read too much into it. Just like a magician's magic trick, you don't really want to look behind the curtain, because once you start thinking about it after the movie and start pulling it apart, you'll notice that there are plot holes. It doesn't really all fit together. Some of the twists don't really make sense when you think about it. But like for a spectacle while you're watching it, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining. So it's the definition of a decent one-watch movie. So yeah, I give this a 7 out of 10. That's my standard grade for a decent one-watch film. And the same was the first one, really. I'd give it the same, a 7. So I'd say it's worth a watch if you love the first one, and if you just want something that's fun and entertaining, that's you don't have to think too hard for. And yeah, it's better than Ghostbusters as well. So don't watch Ghostbusters, watch this instead if you're wanting something that's sort of fun. And it's funnier than Ghostbusters too, in my opinion, but yeah. So I can give it a good review. I'd say it's worth checking out. Not necessarily worth owning on Blu-ray or watching more than once or thinking about too much. But yeah, for what it is, what it tries to do, it does it pretty well, and I was entertained. And, I wouldn't mind seeing a third one either, if they finally get around to doing a third one. But they've left it in a way where it could leave it here, and it doesn't need to be any more either. So it's good. It's not one of those sequel bait endings where you need a third one for it to sort of make sense. So I will stop the review here. This has been me reviewing Now You See Me 2. Decent one-watch movie. Go check it out. That's my honest opinion. So I will see you guys soon for another review. See you later.